Not yet, not yet. Everybody, we are live. Dynasty Mir, Search for Guru. And today we have Ezewynee with us again. And we're going to be discussing, should African women in America date black men? Now, from what we've gathered, um, black American men are given a bad reputation by the parents of many African women. But are they stereotyping us, and are they missing out? And the reason why I say that is because me personally, I know a lot of single African women in their 30s, approaching their 40s, late 20s, all right, who just because they will not open up or seek other options outside of, I would say, their ethnicity or from their country, they remain single. And not only that, what I noticed is that there's a double standard, because they'll be told not to date the black American man, but when white John comes around, is love sees no color. It's like, oh, he's culturally, he wants to learn the culture, all how cute that is. So there's a double standard when it comes to white Mike or white John from the suburbs or from England. I see it all the time. So what's the issue with a lot of African women not wanting to date black American men? When, like I said, white John does a double standard. And then a lot of times, especially Nigerians, like Nigerian men have the worst reputation on this planet. So you being Nigerian now, with your mother saying, don't take black American men seriously, is she then turning around saying marry a Nigerian man?
Okay. Hi.
Hey.
So you asked me if my mother said marry a Nigerian man?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, okay, if they say don't marry a black American man, stay around for these black American men. I mean, since you're Nigerian, do they encourage you to marry a Nigerian man?
Yeah.
Okay, now, is it safe to say, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, that Nigerian men have the worst reputation out of everybody on this planet? Close to it, next to, outside of white people.
They do have a bad reputation, but it depends on what you're looking at and in what aspect. They're known for the scamming thing, being very cunning. But when it comes to maybe their education, their responsibilities, the reputation is so much better. That might, depending on who you talk to, but where they're questionable is when it comes to areas of business and being trustworthy. That's very, very questionable, very risky. But in our culture, the men are educated, they're responsible, they take care of their children. So while they may have a bad reputation in one aspect, they have a good reputation in another.
Okay, you have a lot of Nigerians in the chat room today.
Okay.
But then why are black American men stereotyped the way they are?
It's the things that they see. It's the things they see. I think media does also play a very a role about how they're seen, from the rap music to the movies. That plays a role. And then what Africans have seen of of Black American men. So there are some stereotypes, but when they come here, they see notice I said some, not all, but they do see some, prove the stereotype.
Okay. But then let me ask you this. When I traveled throughout Africa, I noticed Africans, and really this is not Africa, this is the planet. I see that I would say Black American culture is influencing the planet and Africa. When I go, I see Africans listen to a lot of trap music when I'm in Africa, more than, we'll say, Afrobeat. The way they dress, You know, they're not wearing the traditional clothing. They're dressing like Black Americans. In fact, I can't really tell the difference between a lot of Black Americans and Africans until they open their mouth. So with all the way that Black American men, they're influencing Africans, why are Black American men still given a bad reputation?
Why are they giving such a they wow. I think you need to rephrase that question. It's like so many things.
I'm saying that with the amount of how we influence the world, how Black American culture influences Africa, why are we still given a bad, why are we still stereotyped in a negative way?
I think, well, African Americans, I think, influence to some degree, not to all degree. And with Africans, we separate, like you, let me, because you said you're hearing the music, you're seeing the way they dress, that's entertainment, but we've always been able to separate the two. So they may.
I want you to repeat that again, because I think something that we're struggling with here in Black American is not being able to separate the two. But I want go ahead and repeat that again.
When you say you see the influences, and you spoke on music and you spoke on clothing, we look at that as entertainment. We separate the two, a way of living, as our culture. So they may admire they may like the music, they may like the clothing, but when it comes to maybe family life, code of ethics, they know where to separate the two. So that, like I said, they'll admire that, but at the end of the day, they still would want their children to attain a certain level of education. They would want their children to be married. There's just a way that they do their things.
I got a lot of I have a lot of Nigerians in the chat room who are offended and upset. So let me ask you this. Let's deal with white men. I feel as if white men, when they come into the picture, okay, in regards to dating African women, they don't have to go through, I guess, they don't have to be tried and proven like everybody else. Why is that?
You froze. I need you to repeat.
Okay, I feel like white men, okay, when they come to the picture, say a white man wants to date somebody's daughter in Africa, I feel as if they don't have to, I guess, be tested, tried, and proven before they're able to fully court someone's daughter. All right. Or they're not held to the same standard as an African man or a Black man. Why is that? From this is from what I noticed, from what I experienced.
Well, it depends. It really depends on who you speak to. Some people don't, not everyone has that ideology or thinking. They really don't. Some don't even like it because they feel like these people have, or white people have, a totally different culture. And there are Africans who prefer their daughters being married to someone who is within that culture. So that's not always the case. Not being held to the same. Okay, you want to say something?
No, go. Well, somebody so Atnam is saying all of Africa are listening to Afro beats and others are taking into it. Trap is liked by some people. I disagree. When I was in Africa, all they were listening to was trap music. When I was in Africa, all they were listening to was trap music. 21 Savage, the Gucci Man. That's all they were listening to when I was in Africa. In fact, when I go to African parties here in Atlanta, they'll play the Afro beat. The minute that trap music drops, them Africans go wild. That's why I'm not buying that. They'll listen to Afrobeat more than trap music if given the option. In fact, they even told me that Africans just like trap music more, especially here in America. And then let me ask you this. Okay, Amy Osborne, who's Nigerian, I'm guessing. Black American men let their women run the household. Are Black American men, in fact, we got to deal with this right here. Okay. You being an African woman, I need your honest opinion on this. Are Black American men viewed as effeminate compared to African men?
There, that's never been a question that came up. It's not a question of being effeminate. It's a question of responsibility, being responsible. That's the opinions I hear. Very little have I heard about being effeminate, but the African men are considered as responsible men.
Okay, but as far as African or Black American men, are Black American men viewed as more effeminate than African men?
We really have never had. I don't really know too many people who have that discussion, so it's hard for me to answer that. But if you are you referring to homosexuality? Is that
That too, because you know that's being pushed a lot here in the Black American community, like forced. So is that having an effect on, damn, we see all these images of Black men either being thugs in skinny jeans and skinny as hell, or they're gay as fuck. I don't know if I want to deal with a Black American man. Is that something that you're facing, or is that kind of being spread amongst the African woman in America community?
I don't hear that discussion that much, but I think that really would be a concern because we're seeing that more of a problem with the DL syndrome now. Like I said, I don't hear it discussed, but I think it would be things that would concern you because it's like you don't know who is who.
Because Amy says the African man is more alpha, and then somebody else is saying tell the truth. You know, they're saying you're hesitating, like they're saying you're holding back. Like, so that's really how you feel.
Holding back on what?
They just feel like you're not I guess you're not being transparent.
I think I am.
Okay. Well, that's how she feels, everybody in the chat room. That's how she feels. So since you've been in New York and you won't tell me your age, you're single, have Black American men approached you, and what has been your response?
Since I've been what?
You live in New York, correct?
Yeah.
Have Black American men approached you, and what's been your response, you personally?
They have approached me. Yeah, they have approached me. To be brutally honest, I have more of an affinity to Nigerian men.
Okay. And why is that?
The culture, the sense of family. I just feel that with African men, growing up in an African household, having my father in my life all my life, what my friends experienced, what I saw, there was just stability there. The father was there. He took care of the children. We're on the same, we talk about the same things, the same culture. We're on the same level intellectually and educationally. So those are all and I think culture does, play a huge role for me.
Okay. Let's deal with polygamy. Can your African husband, or your husband in general, can he have more than one wife, or can he have a mistress? Is that okay?
Well, most people, I think in the northern part, or depending on the religion, polygamy comes into play, but more in the South with the Igbo men, they're not, because of Christianity, a lot of them are not, as far as I know, not practicing polygamy. But what I do hear is that a lot of them do have mistresses. That I do hear about.
Okay. Now, will you allow your husband to have a mistress?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
I'm not having that. Me and me alone.
Are you Christian or are you Muslim?
Christian.
Christian. Okay. All right. Now someone's asking in the chat room, are you Igbo or Yoruba?
Igbo.
Igbo. Okay. So will you date somebody outside of your ethnicity?
Yeah, I would. In fact, there's okay. We have the three major places. We have the houses, Igbos, and the Yorubas. Um, then after a while, I think they divided the states, and now we have the Niger Delta. I tend to really get along with people from the Niger Delta, the formerly known as the Bendelites. So they're definitely not evil, but I'm open to it.
All right. So there's people in the chat room saying polygamy is part of our culture, and there's nothing wrong with that. A couple Nigerians are saying that. What are your thoughts to that? Like they're saying that you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like you want a Nigerian man, but you don't want to accept the culture. What's
That's that person, whoever's telling you that, they don't know what they're talking about, and it depends on their religion. Because I grew up with a lot of people, polygamy was not the way. Maybe these are the houses, maybe these are the Yorubas who practice Muslim, and they allow them to have more than one wife. And even some of those people, they don't have more than one wife. So that's nonsense. I know a lot of us. I grew up with a lot of us who it was just us who were married to our mothers, and that was it. So I don't know what they're talking about.
This chat room is off the chain today. I don't know. I don't know. A lot of people are like, a lot of people don't agree with you. But that next off to the next question. So, would you consider
Mm-hmm.
dating a Black American man or a non, or we'll say since you're in America, a Black American man? What would it take for you to date a Black American man over a Nigerian man?
If you're connected with the person, if you have a connection. What you laughing at? Let me look.
I mean, I'm reading the chat room, man. I'm listening. I promise you, Ezewynee, I am listening to you. It's just the chat room is off the chain today. But go ahead, please.
No, it would be the connection, being on the same level, you seeing responsibility. That would be a consideration.
Okay. Adnam, I gotta address you, Adnam. Now you live in London. Okay, Adnam, and you just sat here and said that you feel sorry for Black Americans because we're oppressed by white people. So why the hell are you in London, Adnam, and not in Nigeria? Huh? Adnam, why did you leave Nigeria to go to London? If you feel sorry for Black people, here we go, Dinah, stop it. You're not influencing anyone. People see you being oppressed. They feel sorry for you. You ain't winning financially, educational, business. Heck, even the richest Black man is from Nigeria. So at now, if you're winning so much, why aren't you winning in Nigeria? Why are you winning in London, or allegedly winning in London and not Nigeria? I'm gonna need answers. Turkey, you're a funny guy. All right, so now if you were to bring a Black American man home, how would your parents feel about it? Like, what would they say? Like, will they grill them? Like, what would be the process? Like, what would they say?
Oh my goodness, I knew I shouldn't have done raised eyebrows. Very, very extremely skeptical.
Why? But why? With the reputation that Nigerian men have, which is worse than the Black American man.
Mm-hmm. No, but it depends on when you talk about reputation, when it comes to their marriage and their family, they don't have a bad reputation. Maybe in terms of their business practices, that's
okay. So let me. Okay, you said marriage and family. Are you saying that every Nigerian woman with a child is married?
No, I can't say that.
Okay. Are you saying every Nigerian man that's married with a family does not cheat on their wives?
I wouldn't say that at all.
Okay, so what are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that they're there, Dynast. They're there in the home, they're working, they're providing, they are fathers. There is discipline there. There's that full family structure. That's what I'm talking about.
So do you believe the stereotype that Black men, Black American men, are not in the home at all?
Well, based on the things that I see, and maybe what I'm seeing is limited, but based on what I see and based on what I hear Black American women themselves say, the complaints that they say, it would lead one to believe that definitely not all, but a good majority of them are not.
Ezewynee, do you speak Igbo?
Very little. I
Okay.
understand it.
Somebody said make you submit and say Ankh Uja Snep. What's that mean?
Huh?
Ankh Uja Snep. Jones, is that Yoruba? Shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson with the super chat. I appreciate it.
What's the name of the person so I can see if I can.
Jones Callo. What's up, Jones?
I see Big Booty Easy Wine is.
No. You got to scroll up before he said that. Before he said that, he said something else. Was that
Jones is the name?
Scroll up.
Okay.
I can't. I don't remember what he said, but it's up if you scroll up. Ankh something snap. That's what he said. Okay, let me ask you this: what about Caribbean men? Somebody wanted me to ask, what about Caribbean men? Caribbean men. Now, are Caribbean men placed in the same box as Black American men?
No. They're in. What's wrong?
Why not? Why aren't they? Why not? Why are Caribbean men placed in the same box as Black?
I don't know if they're necessarily placed higher, but I think when it comes to the culture and goals, they might be almost similar because both have, when they come to America, these two sets of people, these two groups of people have a focus on making money, their education. So there might be similarities slightly in terms of culture, but the reputation isn't so great because they tend to say that they're very violent, and even a lot of the Jamaican women complain, but I don't think that they would have as bad a rap as the Black American.
So you're saying Nigerian women do not complain about Nigerian men at all?
They do. Oh my goodness. I did not say that they did not complain. They do have their complaints, absolutely. But I think that the preference, which I think culture plays a huge role, they would lean more to a Nigerian.
Okay, O'Shea in the chat room says, by far, Nigerian men have the worst reputation worldwide, especially in Africa and in Europe. Now, you mentioned the culture is important. Now, people in the chat room said, how is the culture important to you if you don't speak the language? What would be your response to that?
That has nothing to do with anything. I grew up there. I live there. It's relatability. We tend to gravitate to people who we have a similarity and relatability to. And a lot of Nigerians in Nigeria speak English. So, and they still gravitate to their own. So that language has nothing to do with that. And like I said, I grew up there.
Now, as far as the culture, and I know for a fact, Nigeria has the tallest white Jesus statue in Africa. How is the culture important, but a lot of Nigerians worship white Jesus?
I don't think we worship white Jesus. I think we practice Christianity, but not worship a white Jesus. I disagree with that.
How do you separate white Jesus from Christianity?
Like I said, Dynast, I practice Christianity, but I'm not praying to white Jesus.
Who do you pray to?
Christ, but I don't put a white face on it.
What color is Jesus?
I don't know. Okay, let's
let me back up a second. So what is the traditional Igbo religion?
I don't know that. I do not know what the religion.
Igbo, they have to have a traditional religion.
Whatever it is, I don't know. The only religion that I know is Christianity. I don't know any. Okay. The only thing I know that might be remotely related to that, something we call juju, which is referred to as black magic.
Okay, so who told you it was?
You're really having a ball with this Dynast.
I'm just asking a question. Okay, okay. So you're Igbo. Who told you that juju was black magic?
I think everyone told me that.
Okay. Did the people that told you that white Jesus, do you think they had something with telling you that your indigenous religion is black magic?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. So if the culture is important, they're saying you don't speak the language, you don't worship you don't, I guess, you're not into your indigenous religion. Um, why are you leveraging culture when it comes to you dating a non-Nigerian man?
First of all, I was never taught the so-called indigenous religion. I never heard about it until you brought it up. I was taught Christianity. So that's the culture to me. And like I said and repeat again, a lot of Nigerians are not speaking their language, but that our culture is still important to us. That's the best I can answer to you.
Spectra, what are you talking about, Spectra? To be fair, we have these stereotypes about this black magic stuff in the deep South too. Do you believe Christianity is white magic? Hello?
Oh, I'm so you're asking me?
Yes. So, if is Christianity, would you consider it white magic?
To be honest with you, Dynast, the more I study more of history, I'm really beginning to question even Christianity. If it's white magic, I don't know. But I don't know. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, so let's get back to the Nigerian men. Okay, so how have you been as far as finding a good? Because I know there's a lot of Nigerian men in New York. How has been your experience with Nigerian men in New York?
Not so much, but it's good. I relate to them. There's a lot of relatability, but you're also very careful. I also have to be very careful with our people because we tend to be really very tricky.
All right, so since you've been in New York, how many? I don't know how many. I guess relationships have you been in with Nigerian?
You're getting too personal now. I don't want to answer that.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm trying to think. Okay, next question. So it hasn't been working out with Nigerian men. Am I correct?
It hasn't or it has?
Has not.
Who said it has not?
Okay, are you single?
Yeah.
I mean, have you been dating Nigerian men actively? Actively dating Nigerian men?
Sporadically.
So is it safe to say that it hasn't really worked out?
I wouldn't say that it hasn't worked out. It's just, dating is almost like interviewing. So,
Okay.
so I don't want to say not working out, just maybe not meaning what you want.
Okay, so from just talking to your parents or from what your experience was in Nigeria, how is dating trying to date Nigerian men in America different from dating Nigerian men in Nigeria?
I think in Nigeria there's more respect because in Africa your family gets involved in everything, and so once they know that your family is involved and your family is watching you, they are watching them as well. They watch their P's and Q's.
Okay. People, as you enter the chat room, can you please get the likes up? I would really appreciate it if you got the likes up. If you're not super chatting, at least like and share the videos. Let's see what other questions we have in the chat room. Sun Queen, where are you from? In the chat, where are you from? Sun Queen. All right. So do you think you would have better luck if you relocated back to Nigeria and found a Nigerian man there?
I believe so.
Okay. Do you plan on doing that?
Yeah, that's my plan, but not really only for that purpose. Um, I just really want to relocate back to Africa because I feel that there's a lot that needs to be done there, a lot that needs to be changed, and I've kind of gotten tired of living in the United States. I really want to be back in the African culture, in a place where we rule and we're in charge of things. So it's not the only reason; it's part of it, but there's a lot more.
Yeah. Now, somebody in the chat room says, my family's Nigerian. They hate their own men. We are pushed towards white men. With that being said, did your family encourage you to date white men?
Never. Mm-mm. It wasn't in my family.
Okay. Have you ever dated white men?
Nope.
Okay. All right. I see other questions we have in the chat room. Now, you being educated and a professional, what should be the expectations from, I guess, what should a Nigerian man expect from you?
Is it what they should or what they do expect from you?
Okay, well, that's the thing. You're in America now, so I mean, do they have an option? Like, I mean, when you guys come to the table, should they have a list of expectations, or do you tell them like, this is what I'm gonna do, this is how I'm gonna be your wife, take it or leave it? Like, how does this work now? Because I notice, when a lot of women, once they come to the West and they get educated and professional jobs, it's like they have their list of what they're gonna do and what they're not gonna do. So so
I've
how's
never
that?
I've never had that experience or know of anyone who came with that experience saying this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm not going to do. I feel that some of us still have the same old-fashioned ways. There is an expectation, like they expect the woman to cook, they expect the woman to clean, they expect her to be there. And I think we all come in with that expectation. I don't really know any of my friends stating to a man, "Oh, this is what I'm going to do, and this is not what I'm going to do." I've never experienced that, nor have I said that myself.
Okay. LARmovement, appreciate the super chat, LARmovement. His question is, what does an African woman need in American relationships?
What does an African woman want, huh?
Want or need in American relationships?
That's if she wants an American relationship.
Okay.
Is the person asking what would it take?
Well, okay, here we go. What would it take? What would it take? And then, yeah, what would it take?
I think for most African women, it's just the responsibility factor, knowing that the man will be there, knowing that he would be there. I'm sure the status and education mean a lot to them. I think that's what it would take. And also, to be very honest with you, Dinah, it's really a question of each person. People want different things. So what I may think may not be what the next person is thinking. It really depends.
Okay. And the Anti-Gravity 74 says, if you bring a Black American man home, your parents are going to say, why did you bring this akata to us? Is that what they would say? Like, why did you bring this akata to us?
They wouldn't use that word.
Well, what word would they use?
Ndoji. I'm from Igbo, so we would say Ndoji or Jo, meaning these bad Black men.
Okay.
because they have that idea, unless visibly when they look at the person they can size that person. Listen.
Read the chat room.
Huh?
Okay. Then somebody says in the chat room, you're Igbo, she's looking for a millionaire, that's why she's still single. There's too many broke knee guys in New York. Is there any truth to that?
Nah, that's not true.
Okay. Let me ask you, do you think the media, we'll say the white-owned, white-controlled media, plays a role and your parents telling you not to date any American niggas when you come to America?
I don't think it's honestly. I don't think it's the media. I think it's what they see, what they experience, and maybe what other people tell them.
Okay, what do they see? Like, I mean, see where? Like in person or on TV? Like,
Um, being very violent. Being just very, very. The one thing they feel is that they're very, very violent. They like to fight unnecessarily.
hold on, stop the show. Now, I be seeing these jungle justice videos coming out of Nigeria. Now, I mean, come on now. You can't stereotype all Black American men as being, or your parents can't stereotype Black American men as being violent when, you know, I seen the videos of the Biafra War, you know, the jungle justice, you know, someone steals some Gari and damn near you want to cut his leg off. I mean, the list goes on. So and Nigerians are very intelligent. I know they're not. I know your parents aren't falling for that, are they?
But it's not everybody. Then it's not everyone that they'll feel that way with. But I'm saying the majority of what they've seen, but definitely not everyone.
Okay. Is bringing a white man home acceptable in your family?
We never had that discussion. That's not something. When my mother always thought of me marrying, she always thought of a Nigerian man. We never thought of anything about a white man. No.
Okay. Do you have any family members that are currently dating or married to any white men?
No, nobody that I know. No.
Okay. So they never brought up the whole you can bring white Mike from Europe home or London and it'll be okay.
That was just never a discussion. It was just never part of the equation.
God, people in the chat room, stop it. All right, this is a serious conversation. Stop it. But I mean, so like what's next? Okay, so let me ask you: from your were you in New York in your, I would say, mid-20s?
Yeah.
Okay, how was your dating life then? Like mid-20s to, you know, I don't know your age, so we'll just say mid-20s to late 20s. How was your dating life then? Like, how was your love life then?
Dinah, you should have told me you were gonna ask me all these questions.
I mean, yeah, I'm just no one knows you. We can't see you.
Um, I didn't
You can
date
ask
that.
me.
I really
Go
didn't
ahead.
date.
You
You
said
heard
you
me?
really didn't date. So you said you really
I
didn't date.
dated, but not that much.
Not that much. Okay. Were they all Nigerian men?
Most were
Most were. Okay. The ones who weren't Nigerian, what were they?
American.
American.
One American, one Caribbean.
One American, one
Oh,
Caribbean.
no, more. No, I think two were. I think two were American, one Caribbean.
Okay. Do you think you should have took your dating life more serious during your 20s?
It's not that I didn't try. It's Diane, that laugh, that smile.
I'm like listening to you and I'm being distracted by the chat.
It's I don't. You do what's you. I tried to take it seriously, but the what I wanted just was not there. So it's not that one did not try. One did try, but it just wasn't there.
Okay. Again, I don't know your age, but do you think that a lot of the maybe Nigerian men or men in general, and I'm just speaking this from a man point of view, that the older men, 30s, 40s, that they're more attracted to younger women?
I think it depends. Once again, it really depends. I've seen different broads of the spectrum. It depends.
Okay. So what? So I mean, what? So what advice can you give Black American men who want an African woman here in America? Like, what kind of advice can you give them as far as how to, what should they do? How should they approach them? You know, how should they know that they're serious about dating them?
I don't know, Dynas. I don't really think they care. What makes you think they even care or want that?
What do you mean? They do care. Are you serious?
Aren't you one,
hold on. I'm gonna read something to you. Hold on. Keep talking. Let me read something to you real quick. Somebody sent me this email. Hold on. I get emails all the time about this. Hold on. I gotta find it. I gotta find it. Let's see here. Hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna find this. I want to read this to you. Here we go. Hi, Dynast. Would a donation of $25 be helpful in encouraging you to do a live stream podcast on will African women marry Black American men? I'm telling you, I get this stuff all the time. And with an interview with Liberia's Roida Philomena Yuri. Anybody from Liberia know her? Roida Philomena Yuri. I think you do a great interview on these topics, and I also believe that there are some good brothers who like to connect with African women for romantic relationships and marriage. Families are building blocks of nations, and I believe that we have not explored or discussed the importance of marrying into an African culture as a way to reconnect with Africa. And I believe that for Black American men to take on the challenges of either relocating or maintaining a home both in the USA and Africa, a beautiful African bride will be an important motivating factor. I believe that it would be extremely difficult or skilled and industrious brothers to give up a first world lifestyle altruistically and just for the struggle. If you need an additional copy of my write-up with photos titled "Where the African Women At," just let me know and I'll resend it to you. Okay, so a brother sent that to me. So there are a lot of Black men who are serious, Black American men who are serious in regards to dating African women. So again, could you give them some tips on how to approach or what to do differently, how to treat them differently than they treat let me ask you this question. Do you think the Black American women have a different set of expectations from men than African women?
Dynas, you have to repeat. You broke up. You started.
Okay. I'm saying, do Black American women have a different set of expectations from men than African women have for men?
Then African, they probably might be about the same.
Okay. All right, so Sun Queen is Nigerian. She's half Calabar and Yoruba. And she says, one thing about Nigerian men is that they are players like every other Black man, but they do marry at the end of the day. What are your thoughts about that?
That's true. That's very true.
All right, so if your Nigerian man cheats on you consistently, would you divorce him?
Absolutely.
Is divorce normal, common in Nigeria? Or is that a westernized American thing?
Probably. I don't know if it's common, but I think I wouldn't say it's necessarily common, but I think people are getting more divorced now.
Okay. Guys, can you do me a favor? Please get the likes up. You know, I would greatly appreciate it. And shout out to everybody who super chatted. But yeah, please get the likes up. Now, here's another question. If a Nigerian man, or say you were to date or marry, or say if you were to marry a Black American man, is it expected for him to pay jewelry? Is it jewelry? How do you say it? Jewelry?
No, bride price.
Bride price, yeah. What's it called? Jewelry? Jewelry? Am I saying it right?
No, I only know it to be bride. The other thing. That's the name I was told. I don't know anything about it.
Okay, so your parents wouldn't expect to pay a bride price.
I think, wow, that's a hard question because that never came up. They may take into consideration that this person is from a different culture and we do things differently. So I don't know. I really, honestly, I don't know, but probably yes.
Okay, probably yes. All right. Lawrence, Professor Davis says there's a class distinction. The elite African American men and women generally marry other African Americans. Dowry. Thank you, Professor Davis. Dowry. What was I saying? Jewelry. Dowry.
Yeah, right.
That's
Dowry.
yeah,
That's it.
dowry. I'm sorry, dowry. Thank you, Professor Davis. Now, have you dated any elite Black American men?
No.
Okay. Have you dated any elite Nigerian men?
Yes.
Okay. What happened with that?
I just dated. That's it. I didn't go any further. That's it.
Okay. Okay. Grace, truth teacher says, finally a real African sister that is not trying to act as if she stepped out of heaven. Thank you. And it's dowry. My bad. I was saying jewelry. I apologize. Jones, fuck you. Excuse my language. I'm sorry. Oops. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep this kid friendly. Now, is the expectations from your parents that you have to have children one day?
Yeah, that's important in the culture.
Okay. Do you feel pressured or like you're being like, are you starting to feel pressure that you need to have kids soon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dinus, that smirk is very distracting.
No, listen. Okay, listen. I'm reading the chat room as well. I got an answer, and I don't know what it is today. I don't know if it's because of the topic, but the people who usually in the chat room, they're really now. Usually, it's just Turkey. Turkey is the clown. Turkey is the class clown usually, but we have a lot of class clowns today. Usually, it's just Turkey, just the one class clown, but we have a lot today. LARmovement wants to know: can an African wife be an asset to an American man?
What does he mean by that?
I mean, can you be an asset, not a liability, an asset? Like what can she add to an like what can an African wife add to an American man?
What can a Black American man add to an African woman?
Hey, LARmovement, you want me to send you the link? You want me to send you a link? Can I bring him on? Can I bring him on for about 10 minutes before we log off?
Is he gonna be insolent?
He's not. He's very now LARmovement has good manners. He has good manners. He's not like some of these people in the chat room.
Okay.
LARmovement, send me your email address, LARmovement, if you want to hop on. Send me your email address.
Because I'm telling you right now, Diane.
He's nice. He's nice. If he like, I wouldn't. He's nice. He's a nice guy.
Okay.
LARmovement is a nice guy. LARmovement, send me your email address if you want to hop on. Put it in the chat room. All right, I'm about to send him the link. Now let me ask you this: do you identify? Oh, we already spoke about this, but for everybody who's new to so I guess the chat, do you identify as a feminist?
No.
Okay.
I mean, based on the definition you gave me, no.
Okay. Oh, let me send this to LARmovement real quick. He's nice. He's gonna take it easy on you. He's a nice guy.
Okay, I know when you were defining feminist to me, you gave me like labels. You mentioned some attributes.
I mean, that's what they are. I mean, they're gonna try to sexify it, but at the end of the day, a feminist. If you don't believe in if you don't agree completely with the LGBT community, you're a homophobe. Where the white men at? And I ain't cooking for no black man. At least I'm only cooking for white men. I ain't cooking for no black man. For white men. Don't let them complicate it. Don't let them sexify it. That's it. At the end of the day, that's it. If you don't believe in the LGBT, if you disagree remotely, any type of way, form, or fashion with the LGBTQ community, you're a homophobe. I ain't cooking for no man unless he's a white man, and where the white men at. That's it. That's it. That's it. Don't let them talk about female empowerment, nothing. Because the minute you bring up anything in regards to income equality or anything, it shifts immediately to what I just brought up. Immediately. So don't even, that's it. That's it. So yeah, so don't there's really no need to complicate it. But I mean, you can research it all you want. Turkey, thank you for the super chat, Turkey. See, Turkey is the resident class clown, but everybody is being a class clown today. But usually, Turkey is just the only class clown. LARmovement, what's up, brother?
What's happening?
Say
I'm
hello.
not gonna be insolent.
Hello.
I'm gonna be a petulant child.
All right, LARmovement. I know you have a couple questions from a Black American man perspective.
So you asked my question, so I'll explain it. In America, we know American history. We know how America gets down. So we know the assets that we could bring as Americans to Black people who are not actually from here.
Okay.
So what winds up happening is we don't know what people from other cultures can bring to us as an asset when they come here.
Okay.
So that's the thing. Like, give an example.
All right.
Africans say we don't have a culture.
Okay.
They know our culture.
Man with no land. Man with no land. Go ahead.
So would marrying an African woman introduce us to African culture?
It definitely would.
And how would that be an asset to us here?
It depends on what you consider it as an asset. The culture may not be an asset to you. So it depends on really what you want. And before I go on any further, since you're talking, and I'm not being combative, I'm just trying to be balanced. Since you're talking about how would we be an asset to you, explain to me how an African American man would be an asset to an African woman, and then I'll answer your question.
Because we know how America works, and we can tell you how to navigate it honestly.
Facts.
But we are already doing that. We're already doing that without any. I'm not trying to diminish what you're saying, but we're kind of already doing that without an African American man helping us.
Well, no, because the blueprint and foundation you're using is the one that we started and created. So you don't really know how it's actually going now. And one of the things that we try to actually tell people that are Africans when they come here is you're not paying attention to, you fall into the trap of the American dream so far that you really don't know how far you're going to lose your kids and grandkids.
I would need you to expatiate on that. I think I know where you're going, but I'm
gonna jump in. I'm gonna explain it, and might be a little surface level, but I understand exactly where LARmovement is coming from. All right, so I eat at a Senegambian restaurant, like 3 times a week. All right, the women who prepare the food, I mean, what's the correct way to say it without being offensive? Straight off the boat. Okay, now their children that were born here in America want nothing to do with the culture. They're pretty much Black Americans. I mean, they won't eat the food. They want McDonald's. Dress, talk, listen to the music, everything. So that's what LARmovement, I think, is hinting to. Am I correct, LARmovement, or am I wrong?
That's it.
I disagree with that. I think it depends on your family, because I grew up here and we still kept a lot. We ate. My mother fed us the African food. There was a certain way she dressed us. We were very into the African culture. So I think it had, and well, also, and to be fair, I grew up here and there. So maybe that has something to do with it. But while we were here, my parents made sure that we were very involved and we practiced and respected our African culture. So I would disagree with you in that aspect.
You think when you have kids, they're gonna practice your culture? Because I'm not saying it's just as an African thing. It's an American thing. There are people who come from Mexico who kids don't know nothing about Mexico in one generation. Asian, same thing. Italians, same thing. French, same thing. Germans, same thing. And that's African, same thing. There are people from the Caribbean islands, same thing. South Americans, same thing. The closest most people get is waving their flag. And that's pretty much it after like a generation.
I see the point you're making. I see the point you're making, and it's really quite valid. But once again, I think it really may depend on that family and what's being taught in that family and how strong the family is. But you are right. There are some who will want to assimilate into the American culture. So you're correct. Yes.
I'm not being insolent. You see that, right? I'm just trying to tell you.
Thank you.
There was a question in the chat room, but I think you already answered it. Kobe Smith wants to know, can the guest speak her own language?
A little bit, not much.
A little bit.
But
now,
I understand it.
Now, LARmovement, do you think her living here in the U.S. has anything to do with that? Or let me ask you this, Ezewynee, do you think you living in the U.S. has something to do with that?
Well, let me make one admission. It's a difficult admission, but it's a true admission, and it could even lead to another discussion. Sadly and unfortunately, because of colonialism, there are some Nigerians who feel that it's not good to speak your own language, that if you don't speak your own language, that makes you more superior, that makes you more better. So I think that wrong kind of thinking, played a role in that. It was only later on I said, wow, this is not a good thing. So I don't think it has so much to do with living here, because like I said, once again, it has a lot to do with what are the parents telling you. So my mother spoke mostly English to us. That me speaking Igbo was not so much of her priority. Had it been that she was speaking English to me, speaking Igbo to me while we were growing up, I would know the language, just as she taught us so many other things about Africa that we knew.
Uh-oh. Okay.
You there?
Yeah.
Ezewynee, you there?
I'm there. I was waiting for you.
Okay. But I mean, again, let's see here. Kobe Smith says he's a Black American. He speaks Twi. His wife, who's Ghanaian, is a native. Well, yeah. I mean, your wife is Ghanaian. I guess she speaks Twi. Am I right, Kobe?
I got a question.
Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay, I asked it in the chat, but what countries in Africa are accepting to Black Americans when it comes to having relationships?
I think.
Let me answer this, LARmovement, because I traveled to Africa. You have to go over there. I don't know if they help me out with this, Ezewynee. Why are African families and women more receptive to me or to Black American men or non-African men when you're in Africa versus over here in America?
That's
because when I'm over there, no problem. Over here could be an issue, and I think there's such a big disconnect from the Africans who are here in America versus the Africans who are in Africa. Because there's no issue. In fact, I got people begging me, marry my daughter, marry my daughter, marry my niece. You marry my niece. African man, Black American man, you good man, married my daughter.
It could be your presentation. It could be the way you're coming across. That could be what it is.
Can I say something real quick about here? I have a friend who's from the Congo. Her family had to leave when it went left, and she was raised here in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to HBCU. I went to TSU. So there's a lot of Africans that go there. So there was, tribalism in a sense at times. But this young woman knows her native languages. She knows 5 languages. She went out. Some African brothers were behind her, thought she was attractive. They couldn't tell that she was African. Because I noticed that, like, you can't really tell at times. If people think there's differences, sometimes there's not. They started talking in their native tongue about how cute she was, but they started talking down to her because they figured she was black. When she finished doing what she was doing, she responded to him in that same native tongue. And then they kind of felt hurt, but she was more hurt because she was like, oh, this is how you see me and you my own people, even here. So, that I think that part of it messes up our relationships as far as even dating. Because whatever this underlying disrespect is, I think it's in the wrong, it's pointed in the wrong direction, and it's in the wrong place.
The underlying, when you say underlying respect, the disrespect in terms of what, her ethnicity or just her being a black woman?
The fact that even an African woman in America, once she's viewed as black, she's disrespected by Africans. That's for black people in America, we understand that people come from their own country and inherit racism when they get here. And one of the things what I was asking you earlier about, about the asset part is because if you bring that here, we're the only people that can help you. So that's why I was asking, how can you guys be assets to us here? Because when it all falls apart, we're the only people that can help you.
Wow. I don't know, that leaves a lot. It leaves a lot of thought, but when you say it all, it's hard for me to answer that question because I know us doing it for ourselves and surviving for ourselves and doing things for I'm not saying that Black Americans are not helpful. They are. I've met a lot of Black Americans who are very supportive, maybe even more supportive than my own. But overall, it's like I feel we are doing most of the things ourselves, our own problems, we take care of ourselves. So that's why when you're saying you're the one who will help us, I honestly I don't understand or correlate to that.
Do you think that you're able to be autonomous without being under the umbrella of being Black in America?
I need you to expatiate on that.
Like, you're Nigerian, right?
Yes.
Most of the things, most of the jobs, most of the schools you went to, most of the resources came under the umbrella of considering yourself Black, right?
Facts.
Because I am Black.
But at the same time, there's an issue like when with interacting with Black people that aren't Nigerian specifically or just African specifically.
I think it's individual. It's individual. If I will talk and communicate with anyone who is nice and amenable to me. I don't single out, oh, I don't like Black Americans. I've never done that. Or I'm only going to talk to the African. No, I deal with anyone who is gracious and decent to me. And I think I think a lot of people do. People may have reservations in certain areas, or maybe when you get into certain departments, but I think the reasonable human being, any reasonable human being will gravitate to whoever is decent and civilized to them. I don't think that they just totally single out, look at you, a Black American, and just automatically hate you. Or say, I'm not talking to that person, or I won't deal with that person. I no.
But don't we have like a bad reputation with Africans? We're seen bad as bad people.
the reputation is there, but I think that as they start to talk with you and reason with you, they say, oh, this what I was hearing was not necessarily the truth. And then there's another phenomenon here that we're not paying attention to. Black people generally, whether African or American, we're not necessarily the friendliest to each other. We're not necessarily, because I've also heard a lot of Africans tell me how Black Americans were very nasty to them and put them down.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that, same, and I have to tell you this. When I was going to school, it really was not the white kids who were nasty to me about being African. It was really the Black ones. So we're kind of like, we're not really nice to each other. I've heard Africans have told me that a Black American has cursed them out and told them go back to Africa, that they're useless. So it's like, I don't think it's just, oh, Africans don't like Americans. Some of the Africans think that Americans don't like them and that they're hostile to them.
I get it. I mean, I absolutely get it. It's just, even when I hear that being said, it's not always, it's predominantly when people were children. A lot of Black Americans experience is predominantly when we're adults.
Okay, can I tell you something?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me tell you an experience my mother talked about that she had. This is what I'm trying to tell you about, and this could even lead to a whole nother show about the hatred that Black people, like I said, Africans or Americans have. My mother said when she first came to America and she started working, she was working around a lot of Black Americans, and they told her that she couldn't speak English. And one thing I can say to you is, being Nigeria being under the British rule, because we were colonized by the British and we had the British educational system. It was very, we know English to the core. We speak the Queen's English. I don't say that with any arrogance. That's just the truth. So they were saying that my mother couldn't speak English. Oh, get rid of her. Listen to this. Listen to this. A white lady from headquarters came and she called my mother, wanted to speak to my mother, find out what was going on, what was the problem. After she spoke to my mom, the woman, this is a white woman now. She said to my goodness, I can't believe this. They told me you don't know how to speak English. You speak better English than them. This is what she said. And please, I am not in any way suggesting we're better. That's not what I'm saying. This is what this lady said. Not only did my mother keep her job, this white lady gave her a position in their main headquarters. So here is this is just one of many examples of the dislike and hatred that we have for each other. Okay, I'll give you another. I know I'm kind of digressing, but I'm just trying to, make you understand a little bit more the problems we as Black people have. When we later relocated to Nigeria, my mother worked for an American company called NAFCON, Nigerian Fertilizer Company. The white men wanted to establish Dynas, I don't like that laughter. It's bothering me.
I'm reading the chat room.
He can't smile? Come on, man.
No, he's doing a whole lot of giggling and it's making me uncomfortable.
It's trolling season in the chat room right now. I saw when I was in there. It cracking a lot of jokes. It's not that serious.
I can't help it, man. Go ahead. I'm here. Go ahead.
Okay. So when she relocated, this was a American company. Dynas, would you like to blank your face so that I can concentrate?
No, concentrate. I was just concentrate. I can't. I'm trying to.
Okay, so she when she relocated to this company, it was company ruled by the Americans owned it. They established everything. They had wanted to create, because they were working around a lot of chemicals. The white men wanted to establish an insurance system so that in case any of the workers got sick or they lost a finger or they lost a hand, they had an insurance system to protect them. The African men did not want that. They said, no, we want all that money kept for ourselves. Long story short, when that company, and people are not going to want to hear this, but this is the reality and the truth. When that company was transferred over to the Africans, guess what? It was destroyed. People were not getting paid. They did not get their pensions. They weren't getting their insurance. So what was the point of my bringing this up? There seems to be a lot of dislike amongst ourselves. So it's not just us, us hating you, you feeling us hating you. They feel that you hate them, and then they hate each other.
Well, I get that, but even like, okay, I don't even know how we got to this part, but even okay. In some ways, are you equating somebody saying you can't speak English to somebody in America to somebody making sure people get underfunded and can die without nothing from dying on the job in Africa? Like,
I'm talking about dislike that Black people have for one another, whether it's Africans hating Africans, Africans hating Americans, or Americans hating Africans. That's what I'm talking about. So what I'm saying in answer to your question, you saying that Africans don't like Black Americans. A lot of Africans feel that Black Americans don't like them either.
Okay, understandable. So if that's the case, why is it so difficult? Is that why it's so difficult to date or talk to or be around each other? Because normally, like I said this to Dinus maybe a week or two ago, I ain't never played spades or dominoes with an African. The things that we actually do in America to have fun with each other and kick it with each other, most Africans don't want to be around us even in those fun moments. And it's not like we haven't invited people or asked people to be around. It's just like, no, thank you. And we get that y'all have internal things, because is a particular young lady who I know is Nigerian. Her boyfriend was Nigerian, but they was from two separate tribes, so they couldn't get married because their parents wasn't feeling it in America.
Mm-hmm.
So what's up with all the division? Like, because it's not, does it actually work for you guys?
In Africa?
In America?
There are some people who there are Africans who hang out with Black Americans, and then some, it might just be a cultural, maybe there's an uncomfortability, but I do know Africans and Black Americans who hang out together. I have.
I know of it, but okay, like as a Black man who dates Black women predominantly,
mm-hmm.
Sometimes if you want to date an African woman, it's kind of like dating a white woman. They got to, it's after she's tried to be with all of the men that they told her to be with, and then the family's like, look, you just got to get somebody now. It's acceptable now. You can get one of them now because you tried everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So that's because y'all were talking about relationships earlier. That I've noticed that a lot. If she's 20 to 35, she start falling off, go ahead and get one. Forget it.
Okay, so
and we noticed that, like, we can, we're not silly.
Mm-hmm. What's your quote? You want me to a question or a comment?
Okay. How about this? Well, you still haven't answered the part about the asset part.
Yeah, because I still am not clear, because this is a two-way street. This is what an African woman being an asset, most of those women are educated, they have careers, they believe in family, they believe in taking care of their children, keeping up their home. That's what I feel they're an asset for. I don't see from the circle that I'm in, I don't see an African woman as a liability.
Do you notice by the way you just said that sounds no different from a quote unquote African American woman, because it still X's out how are you an asset to that man? What do you bring into his life? Like, it's just education don't matter to us. Having a job don't matter to us. You know, taking care of the home, I get that. Taking care of the kids, I get that. What about the guy? Do African women take care of their men in Africa?
Of it. That's what are you talking about? That's all part of it. That's all part of being the home. You will cook, you will clean, you take that. Aren't you benefiting from that? What is it? Can you explain what more you want outside of what I said?
No, I was asking that because at the end of the day, like, is there a difference in the way that African women cater to African men in Africa than they do in America?
I don't think there's a difference. No.
So when you said that, like all that stuff was built in,
they're keeping their same culture with them, just you're in a different place.
So African women in America actually cater to their African men at home?
Yes. Someone told you otherwise?
No, because when you were saying it, you just sounded like that sounds like a thing that just women say in America. Like, I take care, I got a career, I got a job, you know what I'm saying? I go to school. In America, when you say that, it comes off different. It's like, okay, you take care of yourself and the dude's off to himself. So I was asking that because I was figuring, you know, maybe you was coming from an African mentality where it's all built in.
You said, how is the woman an asset? Mm-hmm. So when I think of being an asset, you're contributing to the home. When you're in a home or in a marriage, realistically, you're going to have bills to pay. You will have children that you need to feed. If she is bringing something home financially, that adds. Okay, in other words, if she was not working and you had to do everything, you had to take care of all the responsibilities, and maybe financially you're not up to it, wouldn't you feel that that's a liability and more of a burden on you?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. That's an asset. These are realistic things that come. Now, if you're dating, if it's just dating or casual relationship, that's a different thing. But you want the whole thing. I don't think you can have a marriage based on romance alone. So will the person fulfill their romantic obligations? Yes, but that's just not, you also want other areas taken care of. That's important to you for building your home and your family. So that's why I mentioned those attributes.
Gotcha. Dinus, you just over there chilling and stuff, man.
I'm just reading the chat. I'm just listening. I'm just absorbing everything. You know, I'm appreciating the dialogue. You know.
Okay, I'm gonna ask a silly question.
Hey, I'm trying not to laugh. I'm trying to be serious, but the chat is just
you're just making this up, right? So you're from Nigeria, right?
Yes.
So if I got with you and the places I grew up, you're gonna have to learn how to make gumbo.
We already make something like gumbo.
No, I ain't say something like.
Ours is the original. It came from Africa.
You see how you're trying to downplay the gumbo?
No, I'm not downplaying it because we have gumbo is made with okra, right?
Yeah, the okra soup.
So that's what I'm trying to tell you. We make something. We have an okra soup that we make. That's why I said I know how to do that.
We you know, it's a half and half in Louisiana. Like some people make it with okra, some people don't. But I get what you're saying. But the reason I'm saying something like that it's silly, but you would have to learn some of our customs and cultures, how the way we do things, and the way we cook things, and the way we talk to each other, and the way we raise our kids that are similar and different.
Mm-hmm.
Is that?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. You got it.
I think that any reasonable, decent human being would do that. You would know that you're dealing with someone if this person genuinely loves you and they really want their relationship to work out, any reasonable person would know that I would have to learn these people's way of doing things.
Okay, if you feel like that in a relationship, this is what us as a group of people have been trying to say as far as how to interact with in America.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, we've actually been trying to tell you, look, keep this. Don't put this one on Front Street. They might steal that. So, you know, that's what we've been trying to ingratiate you in our culture here in America, so you know what you know the pitfalls.
What are the pitfalls?
One of them was like what I was talking about earlier about losing your culture over time. The other is getting, how can I say this? Getting too comfortable with the idea of America that it might cost you your kids' lives.
I think from my family and from a lot of the ones that I deal with, many of them are ahead of that game. They're already ahead of it. Some are smart that they don't get. They always have a plan of returning. They make arrangements, whether it's their savings, whether it's building homes. They make plans for that. I think part of the reason why you're seeing more people staying here is because life in Nigeria is really, really difficult. So whether they like it or not, they're forced to stay here. And that's a consequence that probably they'll have no other choice than to deal with. If it is a consequence, because I mean, as long as you're responsible, is it so bad being American? I don't think it's just that it's a consequence that they have to face, or they can do their best as much as they can to try to keep their culture alive in their children. From what I've known, most African parents do that.
Do most African parents tell their children how they'll be viewed by non-Black people in America?
They do. They do.
I don't know how to say this right, but it seems like they're naive about that part. Like we get on our own people by having this kumbaya mentality.
I do agree with you on that. I've had some discussions with some Africans, and I just shake my head in silence. I'm like, my goodness, you don't have a clue. So I do agree with you on that part.
I'm not so insolent after all, right?
No, you're not. No, you're not. If anything, I think you've been patient. I feel like you're like, this one. I think you've been patient.
No, I don't. I'm always chill. I'm not even. It is what it is. I mean, like I'm gonna tell you like this. Like when he sent me the link and he was talking, it was funny how you were saying like, oh, it was like, oh, here he go. You didn't even know me yet. See how you treat me like them white folks? You see, you treat me like them white folks.
No. Let me explain where that was coming from. On YouTube, you have a lot of very nasty anti-Black women men. So I thought you were one of them. That's why I said, if it's any one of those, I'm not going to dignify them by even mentioning their names. But I thought maybe you were one of them.
I don't roll with them. Those types are the last one you can worry about on this platform. I don't fuck with them like that.
Okay, so that was where that was coming from. That wasn't, oh, I'm attacking you. No.
I feel so stereotyped.
Oh God.
Hey, can I ask real quick? There's a question in the chat room. Interesting question.
Sure.
Why? Okay, if there's this stereotype about Black Americans, the way that we're stereotyped by not just Africans but people in general, immigrants in general, why do they choose to come to a country that was built, leave their country and come to a country that was built by Black Americans?
Okay, interesting. Wow. Yeah, you are slick. I know where you're going with this question. Number one, opportunity. And then two, they may not think that it was, but they may not know off the top of their head that this is a country built by Black people. I think the perception is that it was built by the white man.
Okay.
If you come here and find that out, how come that doesn't change the perception?
It changes it changes my perception, but you may not have that I don't feel like all of that is. I think they don't feel like all of that is the majority. I think they feel that that's the few exceptions. And also too, I don't know, I don't know how many of them you've interacted with, but I think that you might be feeling that maybe it's the people you've come across. Maybe it's the Africans that you've come across.
No, like I've come across good and bad people. Cool. If you're cool, you're cool. I don't care where you're from.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't just saying that about Africans in general, because I like one of my old professors from I think Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
He was taught the same thing when he came here.
And okay, let me also answer something to you. In addition to that, even though there's the history, America constantly pushes. There's a constant push to portray you in a negative way, in a bad way. They were having a discussion on our job. They were talking about a murder being there was a murder, and this Indian guy, the first thing he came out of his mouth was, "Oh, were they black?" So they constantly push that. So even though now we're telling you, "Oh, we did this, we did that," we don't hear that as much. What America media makes sure to do all the time is to keep on pushing that negative stereotype, so it blocks out the good things that were done.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna try to articulate this right. I can't speak for all my people, but I might make sense. When you're black in America, mm-hmm. when you look out globally, mm-hmm. you can see all the destruction white people have done to other people of color globally.
Yes.
So when people of color and black people who come to America and say that we're the bad guy, when who destroyed your own country and hometown didn't look nothing like us, we kind of look at you sideways. It's like, wait a minute, you do realize, so you can come here and I'm evil, but the guy that bombed your city and raped you of all your resources is your homie.
Facts.
So we look at people like, you know what, we have a look like you're lost. The minute that comes out of your mouth, like you're lost. Mm-hmm. Because it's nothing that we could like to get the kind of respect that people will give white people. In our minds, sometimes it's like, oh, I get it. Like maybe we should get on some planes, some boats, go to Nigeria, shoot up everybody, steal everything, and then take all the money, and then come back here, and y'all will come here like, oh man, you are such good people.
I understand the point you're making, but I think, yeah. Well, I'll say this: there are people whose eyes are starting to open up. Like certain things my uncle said years ago, he's no longer saying that anymore. The certain things my brother used to say, he's not saying them anymore. So I think people come, like you said, they're very naive when they first come. I think some people are opening up to that. But I think this whole thing about the colonial masters or the white man being superior, it's still prevalent in the minds of a lot of people, including Black Americans. Because even the way Black Americans treat one another, I see it on the job. They are more partial to people, a white person, than they are even to their own Black person. You see more Black people fighting each other, but then when it comes to their a white person, you see them give a lot more respect.
I'm glad you said that. Do you notice that there are Black people who pull Black people like that to the side and check them?
Facts.
You mean correct the Black people about their own badly?
Yeah.
I've seen that, but I don't see too many. I've seen that. I not many. And very interestingly enough, I don't know if this is what you all call white guilt. I've even seen in some cases where even white people have noticed that and would not tolerate it. They didn't like that their own people doing that to Black people. But once again, not many.
Okay, we have a culture that we have to pull people to the side and check them, not because we can't check them overtly. It's because when we check people, like when you were talking earlier about us being mean to people, right? In America, everybody else can be mean and arrogant to us and act like that is no problem. It's like part of the culture. So when we're mean back, people like piss their pants and want to call the cops and think the world is coming to an end. So they get all, hung up and triggered. So what we do is we pull people to the side and check them because once we're alone, once we're alone with people, they drop all that BS. But I will say we get tired of that.
Okay. Do you feel that, okay, you said you're from Louisiana?
New Orleans, Chicago, and Baltimore.
Where do you currently live?
Houston.
Do you feel that you doing that has a lot to do with where you are geographically? Because a friend of mine was saying that there is more of what you were talking about in the South than it is up here in New York City.
No, it's okay. If you go in different parts of America, people talk different, right? People have a different drawl, right? The same aspect applies when it comes to this. Like, say the South and the Midwest are connected, very connected, because most Black people came from the South anyways. So that part of the culture is rooted in the South and the Midwest. The East Coast, people talk a little bit more, in my opinion. They'll say something that's gonna get them knocked out, and then when you start to check them, they kind of back off. Okay. But it's still part of the culture about pulling people to the side. I can't really talk about the West that much because I have family there, but I've never been there. But from my experience, between East, Midwest, and South, it's still there. It has little nuances to it.
Okay. I hear you.
So when you gonna marry a Black dude?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question. When are you gonna marry a Black American? In fact, I know a brother named LARmovement who is single.
No, I'm insolent. I'm insolent. I'm evil. I'm unacceptable.
I didn't say all those things. I just said don't if he's gonna be insolent, but he clarified to me that he doesn't hang with those low lifes. Yes, I said it, low life.
Who's the low life?
The insolent, those nasty people, those nasty YouTubers that are always saying nasty things about Black women.
Tommy Soda Moisture. That's what she's talking about.
Oh my goodness, Dinas, why did you even mention his name?
I mean, you need a hug.
I don't fuck with him anyway, so it's all good. Go ahead.
But does it? Okay, hold up. This is interesting. Tommy's considered Black, right?
I don't, whatever he is. Excuse me. No offense. I do not want to discuss those people.
No, I wasn't. It wasn't that. It was something about that. But I think he claims like Honduras or something like that.
We don't got to talk about him.
Okay. It was more about the place.
Tommy Sotomayor is a dusty Negro. That's all that.
No. What I was getting at was, what about, say, how are Black people from the Caribbean, Central and South America viewed in the African culture as far as intermingling?
I don't hear much discussions about that. Not much, honestly.
So if you brought home a Haitian.
Probably because Haitians and Nigerians kind of favor each other and are kind of similar. They still would be more attached to their own, but because they're similar, maybe they would be more ingratiating, I suspect.
LARmovement. Haiti is pretty much Africa. About as African you could get here in the Western Hemisphere.
Okay, well, I got it.
And that's what I got from Africa, because the majority of the Haitian slaves came from Benin. which borders
Gotcha.
Nigeria.
Okay, what
So-
about like a black Puerto Rican?
Do I have to answer that question?
No, go ahead. But hey, listen, guys. Now we can do one or two things. I have to go get my son from school. If you guys want to continue for 20 minutes, that's how long it's going to take for me to get him to come back. You can. If not, we can go ahead and close out. But it's completely up to you guys.
That's up to y'all because I'm off today.
Okay. What do you? I mean, do you want to continue for 20 minutes? AC1?
We can close out.
You can close out. Okay. All right. So, everyone, thank you for joining us. Hope you guys enjoyed this. AC1, anything you want to share in closing as we close out?
No, I'm good.
You want to give your contact information? Anybody can email you, or I'm just asking. It's a yes or no question. Yes or no. I ask the same question at every show. It's completely up to you.
Today I pass.
Okay, today she's back. Okay, LARmovement. I'll put your link in the chat room. Everybody, go subscribe to LARmovement's YouTube page. Hit the subscribe button. Follow that link. But LARmovement, anything you want to share in closing?
No, man, you know, it's all love. Thanks for having me. I'm gonna hit Rose in the DM. We're gonna hook up.
Okay, cool, perfect.
All right.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Search for Uhuru, Dynasty Mir. Please go to searchforuhuru.com. Make sure you go to africapersonified.africa. Also go to amazon.com, search your name, Dynasty Mir, and dynastymir.com as well. Search for Uhuru on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook. Please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Till next time, people. And I'll be back on later on today. So till next time, peace.
Peace.